Hi, I'm Stephen from the Canal and River Trust, the nation's largest canal charity. We care for 2,000 miles of waterways in England and Wales. I'm here in Nottingham today, by the River Trent. We've got Trent Bridge to my left and Nottingham Forest City Ground to the right. And just over here, we've got Meadow Lane Lock, where we're carrying out some works to replace lock gates and carry out other important conservation works. So this lock is at the start of the Nottingham and Beeston Canal, which runs for 5 miles through the centre of Nottingham. It was built as a kind of canal bypass, enabling boaters to avoid an unnavigable stretch of the River Trent. So they would leave the Trent here at Meadow Lane, travel through the city and then rejoin the river at Beeston. We're carrying out a range of works here at Meadow Lane. It's just one of 138 projects taking place across our waterways this winter, where we're replacing lock gates, restoring brickwork, repairing bridges, tunnels and aqueducts, all part of our heritage and conservation works to make sure that we protect our waterways. We carry out these works in the winter when there are fewer boats around because it causes less disruption. As a charity, we've raised more than £50 million to carry out these works nationwide, and these works here at Meadow Lane are costing around £250,000. This video tour will give you a view behind the scenes and you'll be able to hear from some of the people involved in the project. Each one of these lock gates is handcrafted from oak, and generally they're replaced every 25 years. But what goes into a project like this?
My name's Jeff. My job title is Site Supervisor. Previously, the old gates, they used to leak and they actually used to stick, and the top section up there, they actually, one of the ground paddles had broken anyway, so we're coming in now and just replacing all that and changing it all to new. These gates are 6.5 metres long and just short of 3 metres wide, and these gates weigh about 3.12 tonnes. All the gates are made at Stanley Ferry. These gates specifically have been made at Stanley Ferry, and all the sills have come from Stanley Ferry as well.
Our canals are nearly 250 years old, and it's the Trust's job to make sure that these important pieces of our heritage are protected for future generations. Our heritage experts play a key role when it comes to jobs like this.
My name is Kerry Walmsley and I'm a Heritage Advisor for the East Midlands region of Canal and River Trust. My work is to ensure that all of the heritage is preserved, and any work that we do on the canal respects all of the historic features and significance of the network. It's really important to protect historic waterways like this because we know that these are so important to our local identity, communal value, and they've obviously got historic interest. Most of this canal network was built in around about 1793, so we know there's heritage interest there, and once it is gone, it is lost forever. It also tells a really important story in terms of Nottingham and its growth as an industrial city. We know that lace making was really important here, and the canal provided that channel for movement of goods through Nottingham towards coast where it can be exchanged. So in terms of industrial revolution, this is a really important site.
When we carry out works like this, we have to drain the lock and sometimes find some weird and wonderful things in the bottom. So what happens to the things we find?
My name's Jordan. I'm the environmental scientist for the Canal and River Trust in the East Midlands. So my specific areas of expertise are looking at water, waste, contamination. So on this project, we've had to take sediment samples to classify it and analyse it so that we can dispose of it correctly in accordance with the law. So when we sample the sediment, we'll send it off to a contractor and they will look at and analyse things like heavy metals, oils, things that could potentially make it hazardous and not accepted by a landfill or hazardous for the workers on our sites. So as you can see up there behind me, there are a few footballs which not going to name any names, but they might have been kicked over from the city ground or Meadow Lane.
Even in the heart of cities like Nottingham, our formerly industrial waterways are full of life and provide habitats for a wide variety of plants and animals. Protecting these habitats is crucial, and that's where our team of environmental experts come in.
I'm Richard Bennett. I'm the Heritage and Environment Manager for the Canal and River Trust in the East Midlands. The most interesting things you find down a lot are, well, they're the remnants of what's been there before, really. So you'll find the shells, say for example, swan mussels, which can be, get to sort of 20 centimetres long, a bigger shell or a bit bigger shellfish than people would imagine you'd find in this country. but they're quite common really along canals and rivers. And the lock being here, you know, where the water sits stationary, everything settles down, so it accumulates over time. You'll find those shells. We're also been particularly interested in the types of mussels that we find on the walls. So there are native freshwater mussels, but there are a couple of types that we are concerned about, quagga mussel being one of them, which we've been looking for to see if it's here. That can again cause problems with water intakes and, you know, just proliferating really. So it's been really interesting to get the chance to go and have a look and see if we had those present. Canal locks like this are hard built structures, and they're not the places that you normally would expect to be, you know, full of wildlife. But the type of things you find on those structures are things like freshwater sponges. On these long-lived structures that we've been here for 250 years, they really get the chance to expand, and they're quite fascinating to see. So why is it so important that we keep canals alive? If these locks weren't maintained, if we didn't actually replace these lock gates, they would fail. The canal would no longer support water, and you'd no longer have the great green-blue corridor through the centre of Nottingham that's so important for people's well-being now.
Our waterways are nearly 250 years old, and it takes a lot of planning when carrying out jobs like this. Our heritage and environment teams are key to this.
So I'm Ellie Harker, and I'm an ecologist for the Canal and River Trust. So my role started a couple of years ago when the project was first being thought about. So I would be doing desktop studies, having a look at the area to see if it was designated at all, to see if there's any protected trees, and have a look at the methods of the works to see if that would impact any trees, any protected species, any invasives, so that we can have protocols in place to make sure we're not spreading invasive species and also protecting those protected species or trees that we have here. As an ecologist, it upsets me to see this much rubbish in the canal. On one hand, it's a really good thing that we were able to empty the lock, because we can actually tackle so much of this litter that sinks to the bottom that we wouldn't be able to get out otherwise. It doesn't surprise me, unfortunately, but it makes me feel a bit better that we can do something about it whilst we're here. So as a boater myself as well, I know that these works are really going to improve the situation, moving through the locks for boats. I've nearly been stuck in this lock a few times myself. The doors got very, very stiff. So by refitting the gates, having them as new, easier to work, it means that all boaters should be able to use the lock and enjoy boating. The most surprising thing that I find about this project is when I'm stood here at the bottom of a lock chamber that was built maybe 200 years ago. You can see masonry marks from people that have marked the stones that have built them before. You can see mussels that are attached to the walls. So you see things that you wouldn't see otherwise. It is amazing to see the work, really. And looking at the bottom up at how huge the gates are and how much water they're holding back and the pressure that they're withstanding, that's the most exciting thing for me, for sure. It is so important that we keep canals alive because they support so many species that call it home. They rely on these waterways to breed, to feed, to just live. So keeping them alive enables all those species to thrive better than they would without the canals. And it also allows people to enjoy them as well, whether they be boaters or members of the public. They can use the waterways. If we didn't maintain them, they'd break, they'd silt up, they wouldn't be flowing waterways, and they definitely wouldn't be the same that they are today.
During this video tour, you can take action to help us continue our important work protecting your local canal by supporting us with a gift today. You can make a difference and easily donate by scanning the QR code on the screen or texting Canal 5 to 70460 to give £5. Your gift today will help us protect our waterways for future generations. I hope you've enjoyed this video tour and the chance to see behind the scenes of the works here at Meadow Lane Lock. If you'd like to know more about the Canal and River Trust, our work and how you can support it, as well as some of our other open days that are coming up in the new year, then head to the Canal and River Trust website.